guys, welcome back. Today is day 14 in the book What If God Wrote Your Bucket List by Jay Payleitner. Today's title is Redefine Vacation. So if you guys haven't been with us for one of our What If Wednesday videos before, it's the author's idea of what God would have us to do before we died, what things that God would have on our bucket list, things that are important. So I'm going to start off reading. We'll take turns because it's a lot, but we want you guys to know everything that it says in case you don't have the book to follow along with. So here we go. Redefine vacation. Are family vacations on God's bucket list? I'm recalling the infamous Payleitner family trek to our nation's capital. One dad, one mom, 5 kids, one minivan. The road trip takes us from Chicago to Washington, D.C. and back. Our oldest, Alec, is heading into his senior year of high school. Rayanne is 4. The 3 middle children, Randy, Max, and Isaac, endure constantly changing levels of mutual love, laughter, and pounding. The budget and schedule are both tight. Early one morning, I leave our cramped DC hotel room and drive to the Federal Triangle. The plan is for me to acquire time-stamped tickets to the White House for later that day, and swing back and pick up my relaxed and well-rested family. The timing is perfect, except for one small hitch. The White House is closed for public tours that day. I overcome my frustration by jogging 3 blocks and securing a coveted position third in line for the tour of the FBI building, which features lots of guns and secret agent stuff. Not a bad second choice. The doors are scheduled to open in 45 minutes, which I figure is plenty of time for Rita to get the crew up, dressed, and through the easy-to-navigate metro. As scores of tourists begin to line up behind me, I call Rita with my very specific instructions about where, when, and how to get to my location outside the FBI gates. Piece of cake, right? Well, anywhere in a big city wouldn't be a piece of cake for me.
No.
I wasn't there, but Rita tells a slightly different story. Alec heroically gets his brothers ready to go. My wife wrestles our young and feisty daughter into a cute little outfit. Hand in hand, the 6 of them hustle over to down in, off, on, off, and up the metro. A couple blocks from the FBI building. You have to excuse the baby goat. A couple blocks from the FBI building, sweet Rayanne stops in her tracks, yanks her hand out from the grasp, and the rooster. Yanks her hand out of the grasp of her mom and oldest brother and fiercely asks the obvious question, "What is a vacation again?" At the time, it wasn't funny, but as you imagine, the story has taken on a life of its own. Even now, when a family member schedules too many activities during a long weekend, they'll stop in their tracks and do their best impression of 4-year-old Rayanne. What's a vacation again? The story actually doesn't end there. About the time my family is zooming through subterranean DC, the tour guides at the FBI decide to open the gates early, and literally hundreds of tourists funnel past me, queuing up for their turn inside. My cherished 3rd place in line is a moot point by the time my family reaches my side. Our tour finally begins somewhere 2 hours later. Like I said, it wasn't funny at the time. I guess you had to be there. I can totally understand the story because it's always hectic. No matter what you're doing, if you've got kids that you're trying to wrestle around and you got time limits that you're trying to make, it gets wild.
But probably you have been there. Vacations that leave you exhausted, picnics with aunts, camping with leaky tents, beach trips with sunburns and sandy sandwiches, excursions to the city complete with dark alleys and lost tabbies, the fishing trip with nothing biting but mosquitoes. It makes you wonder whether family vacations are worth the trouble. More significantly, whether a huge investment of time, money, and emotions is important to God. The Bible doesn't say a lot about vacations. The traveling described in the Bible was usually out of necessity and typically not very pleasant. Noah's unlikely cruise, the Israelites' 40-year trek through the desert.
You know they weren't enjoying that.
No. Abraham didn't need to leave home. His intense life seemed to be one relocation after another. Paul's well-documented journeys were not vacations at all, but mission trips. The purpose of Joseph and Mary's road trip to Bethlehem was clearly not relaxation. It was to fulfill the census requirement and unknowingly fulfill prophecy. Besides, soon-to-be dad Joseph failed to make hotel reservations. But God did endorse rest and even insist on it. God himself rested on the seventh day of creation. He established the Sabbath as a day of rest in the Ten Commandments. Right in the middle of one of the busiest and most emotional times of their ministry, Jesus instructed the apostles to take a break. Mark 6:30 through 32 says, "The apostles gathered around Jesus and reported to him all they had done and taught. Then, because so many people were coming and going that they did not even have a chance to eat, he said to them, 'Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest.' So they went away by themselves in a boat to a solitary place." When it comes to nurturing a healthy family, the first two verses of Psalm 127 help put your priorities in order. "Unless the Lord builds a house, the work of the builders is wasted. It is useless for you to work so hard for early morning It is useless for you to work so hard from early morning until late at night, anxiously working for food to eat. For God gives rest to his loved ones."
When it talks about, unless the Lord builds up a house, the work of the builders is wasted. I know he wasn't talking about family then, but it kind of reminds me of, if you're putting all your time and your effort into making your kids' life a better life for them and trying to give them everything that they've ever wanted and stuff like that, but you're not raising your family to honor God and to seek God and to have a relationship with him, then it is useless work, isn't it? If you raise your family and they're happy and they have everything that they've ever wanted, is that really what's going to make their life better in the long run? No. You've got to show them Jesus, because that's the only thing that's going to make them truly happy for an eternity. That's the only thing that's really going to fill their soul and make them feel whole. So if you're not building your children up and your house, as in your actual home, if you're not building that up to serve and honor God, then you're kind of wasting your time with your family when you could be using it to improve upon their future and make it as best as it could possibly be. It's a wasted opportunity.
Yep. The message is clear. God is more important than work. He is the true architect and builder of your home and life. There's no way that work alone, even long hours of toil and sweat, can provide for your family. Workaholics need to trust God at work and at rest. So whether you do Disney, check into a bed and breakfast, stroll a beach, gape at Manhattan skyscrapers, or simply hibernate at home, don't forget to take an occasional vacation. For some people, rest is doing nothing. For others, rest is doing anything other than work. For families especially, rest is setting aside time to make memories. Time apart from the daily grind gives us opportunity to reflect on our purpose and our story. That's what set us apart from the world. In other words, that's what makes us holy. Is visiting the top of the Empire State Building or snorkeling the Great Barrier Reef on your bucket list? Go for it. As for me and my house, our vacation goals have always been simply to make memories that bring a smile and to gather a story I can tell. Mission accomplished.
Okay, so then he has checking the list, and it says, when you tell your story, make sure to honor and include both work and play, especially the stories that have become family legend. I wouldn't trade the memory of those 3 days in our nation's capital for anything. If you had asked me in the middle of it, I might have had a different answer. So just like he says, vacations aren't always joy and happiness and every moment's excitement and without anxiety or stress. I mean, there's always something extra going on, whether it's just in your head at that moment. Because I know as a mom, like, you're always got 20 different things going on in your head. Even if everything looks fine, or with the kids and the husband and everybody else is calm and cool and collected, as a mom, you've got stuff like you're checking off everything that needs to be done in your head. And so that anxiety creeps in and can kind of, at some points, it can kind of ruin it for you because you're more worried about how everything is going instead of just sitting and enjoying your family. And so vacations have a tendency to bring that out in people because you're already in an unknown place and you got to keep tight grips on your kids. You don't want to lose your kids out in amongst a bunch of different people, and you're trying to make it from point A to point B. Sometimes you have time restraints or whatever your situation may be. They just always end up being a stressful time. And but his point is to remember the good times, even though there was stress in and amongst it. That the point is that you're making memories with your family, you're taking time and you're setting apart time for your family so that you can create those bonds and those special moments, and so that you can show love to each other. So even though the vacations can be stressful, sometimes it's still worth it to make those memories with your family. So vacations are not always easy. Family trips are not always easy. We want them to be fun. We plan them thinking that they're going to be great and wonderful things. But even though they pose some difficulty, the bonds and the memories that are made during this time is what's going to be remembered by you and by your children. And who knows, they might end up becoming funny stories, or like his little girl might be something that is a inside family joke. Even if it's frustrating, chances are you'll look back on it in a different light and you won't have all those anxieties going on in your head. When you remember it, you'll just remember like the joy on your kids' faces or the excitement that you could see at what they were fixing to get to do.
So make sure to set time aside to make those memories with your families.
Yep, and that's all we have for today. We hope to see you guys next Wednesday, and we will move on to number 15?
Yep.
And it is called Entertain Angels. So we'll see what he has to say about that. And in the meantime, have a good day, have a good week, and don't forget to shine, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.